Oh yeah, speaking of great titles, we're gonna go to Michael, and he's gonna talk about Killing the Eunuch Khan.
What?
I don't know if I spelled that right either.
Killing the Eunuch Khan.
Tell us about it.
This is
Tell us
the
about
one
it,
which
Mike.
actually was. This one was another one that was such high quality. I'm surprised that it didn't actually go the Sundance route until you get really a sort of an idea as to the type of audience that's going to react the strongest to it, which is definitely the Slamdance crowd. Um, War movies, hard to go ahead and get past the statistical nature of the horrible things that happen in war movies, because instead of having like a direct impact like you would in a drama or in a horror movie, it's more of just a pile of statistics, sort of like in the new Fantastic Four movie where the Thing has a body count of how many people he's killed in a military action. I think it's like 34 people he's killed at one time or something, which not very thing-like thing to do. And you really wonder what it would have been like if they had actually shown each and every single kill of, like the blood all over the rocky skin and that sort of thing. And then, like see what their families would have looked like back at home right there and such. Like for this, like in order to get the horror of war across, we've got a generation of filmmakers who grew up in areas that were torn up by war at the time they were coming up. In this case, Iran. And in order to go ahead and get out of the statistical nature and get it more into a sort of a human element, this movie uses a lot of horror expressionism in order to go ahead and get across. The whole thing is set in during the Iran-Iraq War in a border city, right on like the border of Iraq inside of Iran, where these two little girls are picking up mirrors in a field behind their house and then arranging them around the room so that when the light hits them, it like sprinkles like light motes all over and looks real pretty. And then their father has to go away for a funeral, and so they've got the house alone. And while the father's away, a plane accidentally drops a bomb inside of the yard, making this huge pit inside of the yard and obliterating both little girls right there. Like when the father comes home, he sees his like little girls, the little girls, and also the walls are starting to be covered with fountains of blood. And when he goes to take the body outside to try to find somewhere in the hard ground to bury it, which he has to use a pickaxe because the ground is so hard, basically a river of blood starts pouring down the stairs of the house and out the front door and into the pit where the bomb left, making this huge pool of blood in the yard. At that point, the father goes to go ahead and seek revenge against like the person responsible for like the house being bombed, which is going to go ahead and climb up to a higher level of responsibility, in this case, the eunuch Khan. But what we've got here is we've got a movie that is built where you take a visual motif that really moves you from one movie and then you build it into a much more central part of the story in another movie. In this case, the visual motif is the scene from Kubrick's The Shining, where we get the blood-filled elevator, the scene that was used in the previews for the movie. Essentially, like we've taken the blood filled elevator and turned it into an entire visual motif, being the, like blood that's running down the stairs in like oceans and like oceans of blood, much more blood than you'd ever find in two little girls in your life. Oceans of blood to go ahead and show the pain and the turmoil of not only the acts of war, but also the filling of the pit with blood, like to go ahead and, like show the lingering responsibility that, like the, like actions have gone ahead and, like those responsible will need to eventually face up. But it's wonderful how it uses the horror elements to go ahead and, like get rid of the sort of objectiveness of like what the conflict is, like making not so much a power struggle, and entice an audience, especially one that did not grow up in a war type like type environment, into the actual impact of it by using genre elements like you would get in science fiction and horror, kind of similar to what Mother Android did recently, by going ahead and reframing the Bosnian conflict, but in the form of a worldwide android invasion, right there. But yeah, the actual filming of it doesn't look low budget at all. It's some of the most magnificently composed shots I have seen in years. Just one shot after another is just absolutely glorious. And the composition with the way the music goes with it, completely and totally monstro fantastic. Like one of the best looking movies I've like seen in a really long time. I believe it's Ahmed Abest. He's an Iranian filmmaker. This is his second feature, but cannot say enough good things about The Killing of Eunuch Khan. And absolutely, if you have not seen it yet, please stream it on the Slamdance channel.
Yeah, I'm looking at the log line for it. It says a serial killer uses his victims to kill more victims. You talk about The Shining. I'm also thinking about Dexter at this point as well.
Yeah. The serial killer is not. The serial killer is more of like there's someone who has to call the shots behind the scenes. And so when you're dealing with a war situation, you have the real killer calling the shots, that the killer is killing people by making the victims kill the victims. Once again, using this type of terminology to sort of convert war into sort of the horror realm, it works beautifully right there, and definitely it gets you much more into the emotions of the whole thing.
Good. I totally missed that, but thanks. That's creepy. All right.